The sharp crack of a hand against skin echoed through the marble-floored lobby of Monarch Financial Bank, a sound so sudden it stopped time for a heartbeat. Customers froze mid-transaction, pins hovering over deposit slips, eyes darting toward the source. Ellie, Marshall stood at the center of it all, her cheeks stinging red, her simple cardigan slightly askew from the force. She didn't flinch. She didn't yell. She just locked eyes with the man who'd struck her, Dale Carter, customer service manager, his name tag glinting under the fluorescent lights like a badge of misplaced pride. Around them, the air thickened with gasps and the soft hum of phones lifting to record. Security guards hesitated, unsure who to grab. And then, Ellie spoke, her voice low and steady, cutting through the chaos like a knife through butter. "I believe there's been a misunderstanding." That was it. No tears, no threats, just a calm that unsettled the room more than any outburst could. Why didn't she fight back? What was she hiding? The lobby of Monarch Financial wasn't just a place, it was a statement. Nestled in the heart of the city's financial district, the building loomed with its stately brick facade and towering marble columns, polished brass fixtures catching the morning light of March 7, 2025. Inside, rich mahogany counters stretched across the space, flanked by potted ferns and tasteful oil paintings of old money, landscapes, and stern-faced bankers from decades past. The air smelled faintly of lemon polish and leather, a scent that whispered wealth, stability, tradition. This was a bank for people who'd already made it, not for those still clawing their way up. The high ceilings amplified every sound, the click of heels, the rustle of paper, the occasional cough, making the slap feel like a thunderclap. It was a world built to impress, but beneath the shine, something darker simmered, waiting to be uncovered. Ellie Marshall didn't belong in that picture, at least not the way she looked that day. At 45, she was a woman who'd spent her life defying odds. Born to a hospital janitor and a schoolteacher, she'd juggled 3 jobs through college, earned an MBA while raising her son alone after her husband passed, and turned a one-room consulting gig into Marshall Banking Group, a $9 billion empire. Her face had graced magazine covers, Forbes Black Enterprise, her name etched on donor plaques at hospitals and community centers. But standing there in the lobby, none of that showed. She traded her tailored suits for a navy cardigan and slacks from a department store rack, her signature braids tucked under a plain headscarf, her elegant glasses swapped for contacts. She looked like any middle-class black woman trying to cash a check or open an account. Unremarkable, unthreatening. That was the point. Ellie wanted to see the bank she'd just bought for what it really was, not what the boardroom reports claimed. She wanted to feel it. The way her grandmother had felt it 30 years ago when these same doors shut in her face, denying her a loan that could have changed everything. Ellie carried that weight, a quiet fire in her chest, but also a fear. What if the system she now owned was too broken to fix? It started simple enough. 3 weeks earlier, Ellie had quietly acquired Monarch Financial in a deal still under wraps, set to go public next month. Only the top brass knew she was the new owner. She'd planned this, her undercover visits, to test the waters before the big reveal. This branch wasn't random. It was personal. In 1995, her grandmother, Ruth Jenkins, had walked in with perfect credit and a steady job, asking for a modest home loan. The answer? A vague excuse about neighborhood requirements, a polite way of saying black folks need not apply. That rejection kept Ruth renting, draining money she could have built into wealth for Ellie's mom, for Ellie, for Nathan, her 16-year-old son. Now, Ellie stood where Ruth had stood, her leather purse stuffed with fake IDs under the name Ellen Jenkins, her grandmother's maiden name, credit reports, utility bills, all showing a solid middle-class life. She wasn't here to play CEO. She was here to be a customer, to see if anything had changed in 30 years. On her first visit, it hadn't. She'd waited in line, watching a white businessman get ushered to a private desk. An elderly white couple fussed over like royalty. When her turn came, the teller, a kid named Aiden, all crisp shirt and nervous eyes, handed her a brochure and pointed to the ATM. Everything's online, he'd said, voice tight, glancing at Dale Carter's desk like a kid scared of the principal. Ellie smiled, asked for a banker. Aiden mumbled something about a wait, and Dale swooped in, all slick suit and fake charm, telling her to try the online portal or a credit union down the street. She left with notes scribbled in her purse, her suspicions confirmed. That was 2 days ago. Now, on her third visit, she'd come for more business loan info, something bigger to test the limits. She'd walked in that Thursday morning, dressed a notch sharper but still modest, her portfolio bulging with every document they could dream of asking for. She'd gone straight to the info desk, said she wanted to talk loans for her consulting business. The receptionist faltered, glanced at Dale, who nodded like he was doing her a favor. Ellie sat, watched Dale and Howard Grayson, the branch manager, whispering, their eyes flicking her way. 23 minutes ticked by. White customers came and went, helped on the spot. Then Maggie Tate, a gray-haired loan officer, handed her a thin folder of generic flyers and said, "Our specialists are busy." Ellie opened her mouth to push back, and that's when it happened. Dale stormed over, face red, voice loud enough to turn heads. "You're back again? We've told you how this works." She stood, calm as ever, and said, "I'd like to know why some clients get service and others don't." He snapped. His hand flew up, and the slap landed, a sound that bounced off the walls and into history. Ellie didn't budge. The lobby buzzed, customers gasping, phones filming, security shuffling. Dale barked, "I've called the police. We don't serve your kind here." She touched her cheek, the sting sharp but her resolve sharper. This wasn't about one man's temper. This was the system laid bare, the same one that crushed her grandmother's dreams. She'd come to document it, to feel it, to change it. And now, with a handprint blooming on her face and sirens wailing outside, she made her choice. She'd keep going. She'd walk this path to the end, not just for herself, but for every person this bank had ever turned away. What came next would shake Monarch Financial to its core, but would it be enough to tear down decades of rot? Hey, if you're rooting for Ellie to turn this place upside down, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. Eleanor Ellie. Marshall stepped into Monarch Financial that first Tuesday morning like a ghost slipping through a crack in time. The lobby hummed with the quiet rhythm of routine. Tellers tapping keys, customers shuffling papers, the faint ding of an elevator somewhere deep in the building. She dressed the part. Navy slacks, sensible shoes, a plain white blouse under a cardigan that screamed thrift store more than boardroom. Her leather purse, worn at the edges, held her fake life. Ellen Jenkins, self-employed consultant, solid credit, modest savings. She joined the main queue at 10:17 for people ahead of her and watched. A white guy in his 50s, suit rumpled from a long morning, got waved to a private desk before his loafers hit the marble. An elderly white couple, all smiles and silver hair, sat with a banker who leaned in like they were family, talking retirement options over coffee. Ellie stood patient, her headscarf snug, her face a mask of polite expectation. When her turn came, she stepped up to Aiden's window, the young teller with a crisp shirt and twitchy hands. "Hi," she said, voice clear and warm. "I'm new in town, looking to open a checking and savings account, maybe some investment options down the line." She slid her driver's license across the counter, her fake name staring back in bold print. Aiden blinked, a flicker of something crossing his face. Uncertainty, maybe, or nerves. He took the ID, glanced at it, then at her, then over his shoulder toward Dale Carter's desk. Dale sat there like a hawk, eyes narrow, tie knotted tight enough to choke a lesser man. "You can find all our account info online," Aiden said, his voice dropping low, like he was letting her in on a secret. He slid a glossy brochure her way, the kind you toss in a drawer and forget, where the ATM can set you up quick. "No, wait." Ellie tilted her head, kept her smile steady. "I'd rather talk to someone. I've got questions about your investment services." Aiden's fingers hesitated over his keyboard, his atoms apple bobbing. "I'll check," he mumbled, picking up the phone, eyes anywhere but hers. The call was short, clipped. "Walk-in wants a banker." "Yeah, she's asking for one." I get it, but she's specific. Okay. He hung up, forced a grin that didn't reach his eyes. All our bankers are tied up. Could be a while. Sure you don't want to go online? It's real easy. Before Ellie could answer, the front doors swung open. A white woman in her 30s, khakis and a blazer, stepped in. Dale was on his feet in a flash, voice booming across the lobby. Good morning. Welcome to Monarch Financial. Opening an account? I'd be happy to help you myself. He ushered her to a desk with a grin Ellie hadn't seen aimed her way. She filed that away, a mental note in red ink. That first visit lit the fuse. Ellie walked out with the brochure crumpled in her purse and a fire in her gut. She'd expected resistance, sure, but not this blatant. The next day, Wednesday, she came back armed to the teeth. Driver's license, passport, social security card, utility bills, tax returns, bank statements, the works. She bypassed Aiden this time, went straight to the info desk. I'd like to open a checking and savings account and talk wealth management, she said, loud enough for the lobby to hear. I've got an appointment. A small lie, but it worked. The receptionist, a new face, frowned at her screen, found no record, but Ellie pressed on smooth as silk. Must have been a mix-up. I spoke to someone yesterday. I've got everything here. She opened her portfolio, papers neat as a pin. The receptionist caved, dialed a number. Dale was busy with a white guy in a golf shirt, laughing like old buddies, but Howard Grayson, the branch manager, stepped out his office. 50-something, silver at the temples. He moved with the oily charm of a man who dodged blame his whole career. Morning, he said, smile tight. Heard there's some confusion about an appointment. Dale cut in before Ellie could speak, striding over from his desk. Howard, this is the lady from yesterday. We told her about our documentation rules. His tone said, lady, like it was a four-letter word. Howard's eyes cooled, reading Dale's signal. Well, let's see what you've brought, he said, taking her stack of papers. He and Dale flipped through, trading looks, hunting for a flaw. Finding none, Howard nodded to an empty desk. Maggie can help with the basics. Ellie sat down with Maggie Tate, 61, hair pulled back severe, her voice flat as she rattled off questions like a robot. Checking account. Minimum balance is $500. You'll need more ID. Ellie slid over her passport. Maggie barely glanced at it. Wealth management starts at $250,000. Most new folks stick to savings. Ellie leaned forward. My portfolio's over $500,000, tech stocks, bonds. I'm looking to diversify. Maggie's eyes widened for a split second, then shut down. We need to verify that. Takes time. Dale was the real storm, though. He'd started circling her desk like a shark, pretending to shuffle papers for other staff, but his eyes never left her. Ellie caught it. The way he hovered, the way Aiden shrank when he passed, the way Maggie's answers got shorter with him around. It hit her then. Dale wasn't just a cog in this machine. He was the oil keeping it running. Thursday morning, her third visit, she pushed harder. She walked in, portfolio under her arm, and went straight to the desk. Good morning. I need to talk business loans. Expanding my consulting practice. The receptionist hesitated, nodded her to a chair. Ellie sat, watched Dale and Howard huddle, their whispers sharp-edged. 23 minutes later, Maggie handed her a thin folder. Generic flyers, no specifics. Specialists are busy, she said, already turning away. Ellie opened the folder, voice calm but firm. I was hoping for tailored options. I've got projections, plans, someone to review them. Maggie glanced at Dale, who was glaring now, and mumbled, Leave them. We'll call you. Then the doors opened. A white guy, business casual, strolled in. Dale pounced. Mr. Davidson, here for that expansion loan. Howard's ready for you. Ellie's jaw tightened. Same request, different treatment. She stood, voice carrying. Seems your specialists are free for some clients. I can wait if Howard's open after. Maggie froze. Dale's face went red, and the lobby turned to watch. That night, back in her sleek kitchen overlooking the city lights, Ellie sat across from Nathan, her 16-year-old son. He pushed his plate of chicken aside, brow furrowed. Mom, I don't get it. You own the damn bank. Why let them treat you like dirt? She sipped her water, let his question hang. Because firing everyone without knowing why they act that way doesn't fix the problem, mate. They just take it somewhere else. The system stays rotten. He leaned back, arms crossed. So you're going to let them disrespect you? After all you've built? Ellie set her glass down, her voice soft but iron hard. Sometimes the strongest move is letting them think you're nothing. My grandma taught me that. She couldn't fight this bank from the outside, but I can rip it apart from the inside. Nathan stared at her, half convinced, half pissed, the way only a teenager could be. Ellie looked out at the skyline, the weight of Ruth's story settling on her shoulders. 30 years ago, this bank stole her grandmother's shot at a home, at a legacy. Now, it was hers to break open. She'd seen enough, 3 visits, 3 slaps of a different kind. Dismissal, delay, disdain. What would they do when she refused to quit? Ellie, Marshall knew Thursday morning would be different. She'd felt it in her bones when she woke up, the crisp autumn sun slanting through her bedroom blinds like a spotlight on a stage. 3 visits to Monarch Financial had already peeled back the polite mask of this place. Dismissal on Tuesday, delays on Wednesday, and now, day 3, she'd go for broke. She dressed sharper this time. A blazer over her blouse, slacks pressed, her leather portfolio stuffed with business projections and financials no one could poke a hole through. She wasn't just Ellen Jenkins, middle-class consultant. Anymore, she was a woman with a plan, stepping into the lion's den to see how loud it'd roar. The lobby greeted her with its usual hum. Marble floors gleaming, mahogany counters polished to a shine, the air thick with the weight of old money. But something shifted when she walked in. Aiden, behind his teller window, glanced up, then down fast, like he'd seen a ghost. Maggie Tate turned to her desk, suddenly obsessed with a stack of papers. Dale Carter, chatting with a colleague near the lone desks, went rigid, his eyes locking on her like a hunter spotting prey. Ellie didn't flinch. She marched to the info desk, voice steady. Good morning. I need to talk business loans. I'm expanding my consulting practice. The receptionist, a new girl, all nervous smiles, looked to Dale, who gave a tight nod. Take a seat, she said. Ellie sat, portfolio on her lap, and watched the game unfold. 23 minutes ticked by, slow as molasses. 3 white customers breezed in and out. 2 got account help, 1 a loan consult, all with smiles and handshakes. Ellie stayed put, eyes tracking Dale and Howard Grayson whispering in a corner, their glances her way sharp as knives. Finally, Maggie Tate shuffled over, a thin folder in hand, her face blank as a brick wall. Here's some standard info on business services, she said, dropping it like it weighed a ton. Basics are on page 1. She didn't sit, didn't offer more. Ellie opened the folder. Generic flyers, no numbers, no meat. I was hoping for something tailored, she said, calm but pointed. I've got projections, a business plan. Can someone review them? Maggie's eyes flicked to Dale, who was watching like a hawk. Our specialists are tied up. Leave your stuff. We'll call. Before Ellie could push, the front door swung open. A white guy, mid-40s, polo shirt, easy grin, strolled in. Dale pounced like a salesman smelling a commission. Mr. Davidson, great to see you. Here for that expansion loan. Howard's ready in his office. Ellie's pulse quickened. Same request, different rules. She stood, voice cool but loud enough to turn heads. I see your specialists are free for some clients. I'll wait if Howard's open after. Maggie froze, mouth half open. Dale's face darkened, and the lobby's hum dipped as eyes swiveled their way. That's when the air crackled. Dale broke from his huddle, strode over, and planted himself between Ellie and Maggie. You're back again, he said loud, like he wanted the room to hear. We've explained how this works. What's the problem? Ellie met his glare, unflinching. I'd like to know why some clients get service on the spot and others get a folder and a maybe. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Customers pausing, tellers peeking over counters. Dale's jaw tightened, but before he could fire back, Ellie heard it. Whispers from behind the customer service desk, where Dale's buddies stood. 3rd day in a row. Getting tired of this. People like that think they deserve special treatment. The words hit her like a slap, but not the kind she'd feel later. She turned, slow and deliberate, and walked to the desk, cutting through their little circle. "Excuse me," she said, voice firm, eyes boring into Dale. "I overheard that. Which policies here say it's okay to treat customers different based on race?" The lobby went dead quiet. Phones lifted, red lights blinking. Dale's face flushed crimson, not with shame, but fury. "I don't know what you think you heard," he snapped, "but you're wrong. If you're not here for real business, leave." Ellie stood her ground. 3 days I've tried to do real business. 3 days I've been pushed off, overdocumented, ignored, while others walk in and get helped. Now I hear slurs behind my back. I like to talk to the branch manager. Dale stepped into her space, close enough she could smell his cologne. Cheap, sharp, like his temper. "You're making a scene," he hissed. "Get out before I call security." Ellie didn't budge. "Call them. I'd love for them to hear this too. Maybe they can explain why this bank has 2 standards. One for white folks, one for me." That did it. Dale's hand shot up, fast and wild, and the slap landed, hard, loud, a crack that bounced off the marble like a gunshot. Gasps erupted. Phones tilted higher. Aiden fumbled for his phone, hands shaking. Dale stepped back, chest heaving, and shouted, "I've called the police. We don't serve your kind here." Ellie touched her cheek, the heat blooming under her fingers, but her eyes never left his. Sirens wailed in the distance, red and blue lights flashing through the glass doors. The crowd parted as 3 cops strode in, 2 white guys, one older with a hand near his gun, a younger one trailing, and an Asian American woman hanging back sharp-eyed. Dale straightened his tie, smug now. "Officers, thank you for coming. This woman's been disruptive, threatening staff. We had to restrain her." A lie so bold it almost sounded true. The lead cop turned to Ellie, hand twitching toward his holster. "Ma'am, hand where I can see them. Step away from the crowd." Ellie raised her hands to shoulder height, slow and steady, her voice cutting through the tension like a blade. "Officers, this man assaulted me after I questioned their discriminatory practices. It's on the security cameras. Customers have it on their phones. Check it before you do anything." Dale smirked, unfazed. She got aggressive, refused to leave. "Threatened me." But the room shifted. A white woman in her 50s stepped forward, phone in hand. "That's not true. He slapped her. I got video." Others chimed in, angry murmurs, nods. The cop hesitated, thrown off. "We'll need that footage," he said, glancing at Dale, who waved a hand. "That takes time, authorizations." Howard cut in, smooth as ever, stepping from his office. "I can get it for you now, officers. We're happy to help." Dale shot him a look, betrayal, raw and ugly. But Howard was already moving, self-preservation kicking in. The cop turned back to Ellie. "Ma'am, move over here while we sort this." She nodded, but her mind raced. This was it, the breaking point. She'd wanted proof, and now it was smeared across her face, recorded in a dozen hands. But as the older cop loomed closer, his hand still near his gun, and Dale stood there gloating, she felt the weight crash down. She was one call from cuffs, one lie from a cell, all while the bank she owned spun out of her grip. What would she do if they didn't believe her? Ellie, Marshall stood in the eye of the storm, the Monarch financial lobby buzzing around her like a hive kicked over. Her cheek burned from Dale Carter's slap, a red handprint glowing against her dark skin, but her hand stayed steady at shoulder height, palms open to the cops circling her. Sirens faded outside, red and blue lights painting the marble columns in eerie streaks. Dale loomed nearby, tie tugged straight, smug as a cat with a mouse under its paw. The lead officer, 50-ish, weathered, hand hovering near his gun, barked again, "Ma'am, step over here." Ellie nodded, calm as a lake at dawn, but inside, something clicked. This wasn't about her pride or that slap. It was about the bigger fight, the one her grandmother lost 30 years ago, the one Nathan, her son, would inherit if she didn't fix this now. She'd come to see the rot, and it had spat in her face. Time to stop playing small. "Officer," she said, voice clear, "before I move, I need to make one call. It'll clear this up fast." The cop's eyes narrowed, instinct screaming no, but her tone, cool, unshakable, made him pause. "Quick," he grunted, hands visible. Speaker on. Ellie pulled her phone from her purse, dialed, and the room held its breath. 2 rings. Miss Marshall. A crisp voice answered, Claire Simmons, her right hand. Ellie smiled, just a flicker. Claire, I need the team here now. Bring the docs. Secure the footage. She hung up, slipped the phone back, and met Dale's glare. His smugness wobbled. She wasn't broken yet. Minutes crawled by, tense and thick. Customers whispered, phone still up, filming the standoff. Dale paced, muttering to Howard Grayson, who'd slunk back from his office off her like a fox sniffing trouble. The cops hovered, unsure who to trust, the manager spinning lies or the woman with a slap mark and a crowd of witnesses shouting truth. Then the glass doors swung wide, and in marched Claire, early 30s, Armani suit, heels clicking like gunfire. Behind her, a silver-haired lawyer with a leather briefcase and a tech guy already tapping a tablet. They moved like a unit, straight to Ellie, ignoring Dale, Howard, even the cops. Miss Marshall, Claire said, handing her a sleek portfolio embossed with the Marshall Banking Group logo. Everything you asked for. Ellie took it, pulled out papers, IDs, corporate seals, acquisition docs, and turned to the lead cop. Officer, I'm Eleanor Marshall, CEO of Marshall Banking Group. 3 weeks ago, I bought Monarch Financial. These prove it. Please copy them. Claire, back up all security footage to our servers now. The cop blinked, took the papers, flipped through. Dale's jaw dropped, color draining fast. Howard's fake smile twitched into panic. The tech guy plugged into a system behind the desk, fingers flying. Ellie faced Dale, voice low and lethal. Mr. Carter, I own this bank. Been here 3 days, seeing how you treat people like me. People you don't think matter. Guess what? Ido. Dale stammered, hands shaking as he clutched her acquisition papers. I didn't know, ma'am. I'm sorry. Ellie cut him off sharp. Save it. She turned to Howard, who'd oozed forward, all charm and desperation. Miss Marshall, if we'd known, you'd have gotten our best. She stopped him cold. No, Howard, this isn't a mix-up. It's exactly what I came to see, how you run this place when you think no one's watching. How you treat folks who look like me every day. The lobby buzzed louder, customers nodding, staff shrinking. Claire stepped up, voice brisk. Miss Marshall, the team's in the conference room. Legal's got emergency docs ready. HR's on standby for personnel moves. Ellie nodded, then faced the cop again. Officer, he assaulted me. Evidence is clear. Cameras, witnesses. Do you need me to press charges? The room froze, every eye on Dale. He looked around, wild, finding no allies. Howard edged away, silent. The cop, Officer Kimura, the sharp-eyed one, spoke up. Up to you, ma'am. We got enough to move if you say so. Ellie waited, her gaze pinning Dale like a bug. No charges, she said finally. But he's done here. This isn't about one man. It's about the culture he thrived in. Dale's knees buckled, but security hauled him off, box of belongings in tow, his tie flapping loose like a surrender flag. Ellie turned to the crowd, customers, staff, cops, and raised her voice. Monarch Financial's closed today. We're making changes so everyone gets the respect they deserve, no matter who they are. Staff, mandatory meeting in 30 minutes. New rules start now. She strode to the executive offices, Claire and the team flanking her, the cops trailing to file reports. 6 months later, she stood in that same lobby, transformed. The barriers were gone, replaced by open desks where bankers laughed with clients, black, white, young, old. Digital screens flashed community projects, not just wealth pitches. An elderly black woman got investment advice with the same care as a rich white guy before her. A Latino kid talked loans, no extra hoops. Ellie smiled, small but real. The slap that started it had cracked the old Monarch open, and she'd rebuilt it, fair, human hers. Dale was a memory, fired that day. Howard and Maggie, too, their exits a parade of cardboard boxes and stunned faces. The bank's numbers soared, new accounts up 34%, folks who'd never trusted banks walking in because of her. But as she looked out those glass doors, where Ruth Jenkins once left empty-handed, Ellie wondered, could one bank's change ripple through an industry this rotten? If you love seeing Ellie turn this place around, hit subscribe, Drop a like and tell us what you think below. Check out our next video for more stories like this. We'd love to have you back.